Yes, welcome to part number 2 of our Climate Wisdom Studio from the Climate Conference live from Baku in Azerbaijan. We bring together experts from science, politics and spirituality to explore new solutions for the unfolding climate disaster. Myself, I'm Golo, the advisor on renewable energies to the Brahma Kumaris, and I will be tonight's moderator on this session, How to Heal Planet Earth. COP29, or Conference of Parties, organized by the United Nations for Climate Change, has started today in Baku, and we are expecting almost 80,000 delegates in the coming 2 weeks. Many head of states, many scientists and many activists will come together and try to explore solutions for the crisis. In the opening speech, the president of this climate conference, Mukhtar Babayev, said, "We are on the road to ruin planet Earth." The conference is overshadowed by latest science reports that climate change may get out of control, and also political uncertainties due to the recent election in the United States of America. I'm glad to have 2 distinguished guests with me, and I hope they can shed a bit more light on this complex issue. I have Juliette Tronchon with me, and you are presently the head of UN Affairs of ProVac and live in Berlin. ProVac is an international organization promoting a plant-rich diet. You also have managed the Food for Climate pavilion at COP27 and COP28, and you're involved also in the ProVac Youth Board. Welcome, Juliette.
Thank you.
And I have with me again Maureen Goodman, our program director for the Brahma Kumaris in the United Kingdom and representative to the UN in Vienna. You have been to many UN conferences. You just came from the biodiversity conference in Colombia. And you have a deep interest in spirituality and the ethical dimensions of climate change. Since many, many years, you're also representing the Brahma Kumaris at the interreligious dialogue at many conferences. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
Without further ado, let us start this panel interview. Juliette, please tell us a little bit about ProVac and how a vegan or plant-rich diet actually can help the climate.
Of course. Yeah, so as you just mentioned, ProVeg is an organization advocating for more plant-based diets. So basically we advocate to transform the global food system by replacing 50% of animal products by plant-based and cultivated foods by 2040. So that's an ambitious goal, but that's what we're trying to do. We have 14 offices in 5 continents, if I'm not mistaken, because we recently grew. We just got an office in Brazil, so COP30 is coming up, so it's pretty timely. And so plant-rich diets can actually contribute to fight climate change because as you know, animal agriculture contributes to biodiversity loss, to deforestation, to more emission, as a carbon emission, methane emission, all this. So adopting a plant-rich diet can contribute to reduce the individual footprint and also for the environment, like reduce the burden of the human activities on Earth. So ProVeg is advocating for people to switch a bit more to plant-based diets and have a better impact on the world.
That's very interesting. I think here at the climate conference also now they offer a bit more vegan diet also at the food stalls.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago at the climate conference there was nothing.
Exactly.
So the idea of vegan diet has grown quite a lot, and the consciousness amongst the delegates has also raised quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have worked a lot on sustainable catering at COP, so that's also something that we really advocate for, and we're working with the different presidencies to try to have more options, slowly getting there.
Okay, wonderful. Let's hope it will grow. Maureen, you are involved almost since 15 years with the Brahma Kumaris. And Brahma Kumaris originates in India. And there we have the concept of ahimsa, the ancient Indian principle of non-violence, which applies to actions towards all living beings. How can ahimsa help us in the climate crisis?
Thank you. ahimsa, I think it's at the foundation of your work too, Juliette. It actually means, of course, non-violence, but not creating harm, not creating injury to any living being. And if we look at the way in which we live today, we are creating a huge amount of harm. You mentioned, of course, diet, and the meat and the dairy industry is very, very cruel. Anybody who researches into it can understand that. It's causing a great deal of harm, but also the way in which it's brought about with chemicals, antibiotics and so on. It's not just causing pain and harm to the animals, but it's actually affecting our own health as well. And somehow we have to make that connection, and people don't always make the connection. And non-violence, or no harm, isn't just about the actions that we take, but it's also about our attitude, and it's even about our thoughts. And you know, if you think about it, every action has its foundation in a thought. And if you go back even, or you take a step back even, in an intention and motivation. And so if my intention and motivation is really for good, then that's going to produce the thoughts that will create the attitude that will enable me to make those choices that really will enable there to be benefit for myself, my own health, for the people around me, and for the planet. So actually, if we want to solve the climate crisis, ahimsa, or non-violence, is actually at the heart of it.
It's a wonderful concept. It deals with plants, but it deals also with the animal, not being violent towards the animals, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a wonderful concept, and it's very ancient in India, very ancient tradition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, in a traditional way, even farming or animal husbandry was done, especially in India, but of course other continents, in a way that didn't harm the animal and actually kept the animal, in a sense, as part of the family. It was small scale, but of course now the way in which we do farming, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster.
Slightly,
I'm totally agree to you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for sharing some insights on ahimsa, an ancient Indian concept of non-violence. Juliette, this is your fourth conference, your fourth climate conference, and tell us what you do at the COP in practical, how you do networking and all these kind of things, and a bit about your strategy to convince people to go to accept a vegan diet, because that's not always easy, I understand.
That's very true. So what we do at COP practically. So as you mentioned, we got the Food for Climate pavilion at COP27 and COP28. And this year we decided to collaborate with other food system organizations, so the broader food system community, and to build the Action on Food Hub. So the Action on Food Hub is a pavilion. So for those that don't know, it's a space at COP where organizations can gather and have their own events. In this space, we have 3 different zones. And ProVeg is leading the policy zone, which is a zone where we're supposed to support the negotiation and also inform civil society about what's happening in the negotiation. So kind of bridging the gap between what's happening in the negotiation space and what's happening in the pavilion space. And we also try to inform people about what are sustainable, healthy diets within this pavilion. But it's hard to convince them. So I think the strategies that we have as ProVeg, especially on UN level, is to work a lot in collaboration with other organizations, to have joint messaging, to push that with a bigger impact. Because if you're alone pushing for a message, it doesn't really work. But if you work together with others, find common messages, even if you're not like 100% agreeing on everything, but as long as it's for sustainable, healthy, resilient food systems, then you can advocate better, in my opinion. So that's what we're trying to do, especially with the Action on Food Hub, but also in our advocacy strategy in general. It's a lot of coalition work with others.
And I'm sure you're using also the internet and social media to spread the message about a vegan diet.
Exactly. Yeah, we use a lot our social media. We do a lot of videos, write about what we do, push our key messages.
Do you also feed people delicious vegan food?
We try to whenever possible.
It does have an impact.
It does have an impact. When you give people food, that's the best way to convince them it's good.
So here we are here for 2 weeks, and our whole kitchen is almost vegan. You know?
That's great. I can't wait.
And afterwards, you will get some delicious vegan food. Wonderful. Maureen, the latest reports from science are rather alarming, and how to stay calm and peaceful facing such news and living in such times. Please explain our audience how meditation can help to build up inner resilience and hope.
We do need hope at a time like this, indeed. And meditation is about understanding the self, understanding the resources that I have inside, and using them in a way that is productive. Now, like everyone, when I hear about the climate crisis and the things that are happening, sometimes you feel that righteous anger welling up inside. On the way coming here, I watched a film, Eating Our Way into Extinction. You probably know the film. And it was an eye-opener, and first I felt, and then I said, no, this isn't actually productive, because what the world needs from us is a lot of calmness, a lot of clarity, and in particular wisdom. And these are resources that we have inside. They're not going to come from the outside or from politics. Wisdom comes from the inside, from listening to your inner feelings and listening to your conscience, because every human being in those quiet moments absolutely knows what is right. But we need to listen. And this is where meditation helps us to use our thoughts so that we can go deep inside and access those inner resources and really listen to our conscience. And then the way in which we live is different. And sometimes you feel that you're making choices that nobody else accepts, and that happens. And you need to be very strong, and you need to believe in yourself and believe in what is right and believe in what you see practically as the impact of good living on humanity, or just immediately on your community, on your family, and knowing that that's going to build up to have an impact in the wider community and in the world. So meditation helps us to keep very strong so that we keep listening and we keep on that path towards shifting the paradigm to a flourishing world again.
I like very much your point when you talk about the wisdom which comes on the inside, and interestingly our discussion is called Climate Wisdom. Our studio is called Climate Wisdom. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so we should listen more on the inside, and therefore reflection and silence is also very helpful.
And also we listen to nature more, because nature has wisdom. Our indigenous communities have wisdom, but who are we listening to?
I just heard that the Brahma Kumaris has morning meditation regular at the COP, and in evening meditation also we have regular at the climate conference. And we meditate also regular for the benefit of ourselves and of the planet, you know. So that's a very wonderful train of thoughts. Thanks very much for sharing, Maureen.
Thank you.
Juliette, in order to shift towards a vegan diet, a change in mindset is required. And a change in behavior has to take place. And mindsets are very stubborn things, you know. People, they literally cling to what they learn in their childhood, you know, and it's sometimes very difficult, you know, to sort of bring really a shift in this behavior. It's so deep-rooted. Can you share your vision what a paradigm shift is needed to turn the tide?
Yeah, sure. First, you're right. It's really hard to change because diets are like really anchored in people's identities and culture. So it's not something you can easily change. I would say, like, if you tell someone to use electric car, it's something else. Like, it's how they could like have some mobility, but it's not like in themselves. Like, food is something that you take yourself and that is nourishing you. So it's really hard to change. But I think at ProVeg we have this positive approach where we like to show people what are the solutions, what they can do, and not telling them what to do or that is bad what they do, but like really offering a pragmatic approach to shifting diets. So not being in like this, how would you say, shaming attitude, but more like really, you don't have to change 100% today, but you can change a little bit bite by bite, and then you can shift the paradigm. So that's what we're trying to do with our different projects. We work with schools, we work with companies, we work with governments, but more also in an advising capacity, really not pushing hard, but again, advising and staying positive in our messaging. So I think, of course, you also need the revolution sometime, but I think, like you said, the calmness and offering really actionable action is what works best, in my opinion.
I remember when I joined the Brahma Kumaris 40 years ago, we all have a vegetarian diet. You know, many from our people now, they go vegan. But when I became vegetarian, I also thought at the beginning, oh, I might lose something or this or that. But nowadays I feel actually wonderful, you know, and I feel also there are some health benefits.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you say something on the health benefits?
So I'm not a health expert, but we do have some papers about that at ProVeg, because we have a department really focusing on research, and we have actually someone which is our nutrition and health expert. So I can tell you that plant-based diets can be nutritional and healthy, but I would have to forward you the paper so you can read a bit more about that, because that's not my expertise.
My brother is a doctor, and in the beginning, I remember 40 years ago, he says, oh, now you become a vegetarian, after some time you need vitamins, injections and all this. And now he's almost become himself a vegetarian also. Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
Yeah. So we have to convince also science, you know, that vegetarian diet is not only beneficial for climate, which is quite well known. The carbon footprint is much, much lower, but also that it's a healthy diet. And as far as I understand, it's spiritually also quite healthy, because you're not connected to the act of killing.
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So from the vibrational point of view, it's also a big benefit, Maureen.
Absolutely, and I think we underestimate the power of vibrations and the power of our thoughts. And at the moment there's a lot of fear in the atmosphere, and that impacts us, and we become fearful or can become fearful. But if you think about an animal being slaughtered, how much fear is there in that? And we are taking those vibrations in. We actually pay a lot of attention to the vibrations in our food, and you know, if somebody cooks you a meal and then they say, oh, here it is, you know, and they're obviously not really interested in feeding you, but they, you know, do you feel like eating it, you know, even on that level. But when there is actual violent vibrations in food, it actually has an impact on our bodies, and we need to be very aware of that.
So wonderful. We heard so much good news about vegetarian diet, vegan diet, about the impact of good thoughts and a positive mindset. And slowly we're coming to the end of this part 2 of the session on how to heal planet Earth. And Maureen, would it be possible to guide a short meditation and take us to this world of non-violence and peace and harmony?
Certainly. I take a few moments to be present here with myself, let the things outside be outside, so that I'm not distracted. But I can really go inside. inside myself and connect with the core of my being. We are all subject to many influences and conditionings. But let me take a moment to go beyond that and be in my original state of peace. To be in a state of love. Qualities that belong to me, that no one can take from me. And with peace and love inside, they are naturally reflected outside. I begin to give to life, rather than to take. And in giving to life, I create a vision of a world where there is harmony between people and nations, harmony with nature, harmony with the very elements of the earth. And let me keep that vision strong. So that it creates an atmosphere where harmony in our world is possible again. Together, we can create a world where all can flourish. Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen, for this lovely meditation, taking us beyond and sort of towards a world of hopefully, probably, likely a vegan world where we live in harmony.
It has to be a vegan world.
It has to be a vegan world where we live in harmony with nature, but also with the animals, and consider them our friends and not food. We just still have a couple of minutes time, and Juliette, just share very briefly what you would love this conference to decide. What would you like as an outcome? Just tell us your vision.
Well, the conference itself, I'm not sure, because there are so many negotiation work streams at the moment, and agriculture is not a hot topic for this one. But I would like policymakers in general to realize that agriculture should be higher on the agenda and included in every negotiation topic.
The whole agriculture sector.
Yes.
Food production also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From production to consumption, with everything in between.
More organic, more holistic type
Yes.
of food production. Yeah. That's we have in India. We have a project called yogic farming, where we teach organic farming to the farmers and teach them also meditation, live in harmony. And interestingly, when we apply these yogic farming methods, we have 20% more yield, and the farmers are more happy. Isn't that interesting?
A more nutritious yield also.
Yeah. The latest report even indicates that the carrots are more nutritious when you meditate with them and have good wishes for them, and more resilient also to bugs and all this. So this slowly brings us to the end, and thanks a lot, Maureen, for your insights on spirituality and the meditation commentary, and thanks, Juliette, also for sharing about the advantages of a vegan diet, and also what Paul Breck is doing and how you are interacting at the climate conference. And I wish you all the best for the next 2 weeks. I was there today in the blue zone, and it was like already very, very, very busy place. And I'm sure that meditation in the morning will help you to stay focused. And
thanks for having me.
And sort of keep a clear mind in this bus which is going on. Wonderful. So thanks very much, and thanks also to our patrons and to our sponsors which made this possible, and also to all the volunteers here on the panel, but also behind the camera. Many people have contributed and helped us in order to make this session possible. And please join us tomorrow at the same time, the same channel, YouTube channel, and for a very interesting session on climate wisdom, where we bring spirituality and science together. For details, please visit our webpage echo.brahmakumaris.org/live, and you're most welcome to join us there. Last not least, thanks to all of you, our global audience, to stay with us, and we hope you can take one or the other inspiration from our talk today. And this time, goodbye and good night from Baku in Azerbaijan.